The right-wing influencer Charlie Kirk has been shot and killed while speaking at a university in the state of Utah. The shooter is still at large. A huge search continues. Kirk was an ally of U.S. President Donald Trump and was known for provocative statements. He co-founded a youth organization to spread ultra-conservative ideals on university campuses. The president has ordered flags to be flown at half-staff until Sunday.
Mortally wounded, Charlie Kirk is rushed away just after he was shot on the campus of Utah Valley University. Moments before, Kirk had been speaking to thousands of students at an open-air meeting about gun violence when a single shot rang out.
Counting or not counting gang violence? Great.
And then panic. Eyewitnesses said event security was lax.
I was in attendance today. I was probably 10, 15 feet away from Charlie Kirk, so pretty close to him. Well, I was with one of my good friends, and as soon as the gun went off, we both hit the floor, started praying. Everyone was screaming. We registered for tickets, but they weren't even looking for tickets. Anyone could just walk in.
I wish there was a better security. I was a little surprised when I walked into the courtyard and there wasn't any metal detector. There were securities around the building, but it wasn't really solid.
Kirk was credited for drawing young people to President Trump's cause. He co-founded the organization Turning Point USA, advocating right-wing politics on university campuses. But he was even more prominent online. His provocative debates on America's political divide and culture wars gained him millions of followers. Even with the shooter at large and the motive not yet public, President Trump quickly blamed political enemies for Kirk's death without providing evidence.
For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country.
Other Republicans also condemned Kirk's killing.
About Charlie Kirk, right? Just because you speak your mind on an issue doesn't mean you get shot and killed. In this country, we have the First Amendment. We have freedom to speak what's on our mind and shouldn't get shot because we believe in our system of democracy, conservative, liberal, whatever you are, you shouldn't be shot.
Congress paid tribute.
The chair would ask that all members present in the chamber and those in the gallery please rise for a moment of prayer for Charlie Kirk and his family.
But the rare display of bipartisan unity was only brief. The moment of silence soon erupted into a shouting match over how to honor the deceased, a reflection of the bitter divide in a nation torn across political lines.
All right, well, for more on the political implications of what has just happened, I'm joined now here in the studio by my colleague, our reporter, Michelle Stockman. Michelle, it's good to have you here in the studio. First, tell us more about Charlie Kirk, his role in American politics, and what he stood for.
Charlie Kirk was known as the youth whisperer of the MAGA movement, so he really was instrumental in getting young people to get out and vote for Donald Trump in the last election. It was said that he made it cool to be young and faithful, and he had kind of an anti-woke, anti-Islamic, anti-Marxist agenda, and he was known for creating these viral moments in college debates like the one where he was about to speak when he was shot.
And he was known for bringing in a lot of younger voters to the last presidential election, which was good for Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
What is this death going to mean for Donald Trump?
He is taking this very personally. He went on to address the nation in a 4-minute speech where he talked about how close he was. A lot of people in the White House were close to Charlie Kirk. And it's interesting that he didn't really talk about all of the political violence that has happened in recent months. He focused on political violence against Republican figures. And he ignored talking about state senators in Minnesota who had been targeted and killed. He failed to talk about the Pennsylvania governor, but he called this terrorism. And he said that he's going to go after this person. And as we know with Donald Trump, a lot of his decisions are motivated by personal motivations.
I want to talk a little bit about where this happened, the U.S. state of Utah. I mean, what do we know about this state, and how politically divided is Utah at the moment? I mean, you know, at first glance, you don't think of political division there.
Yeah, so at first glance, you wouldn't. Utah is a ruby red state, meaning Republican all the way in terms of its votes in presidential elections. But again, we don't know why he chose this event. It was the first in a series of events that Charlie Kirk was going to do. He could have come from outside of Utah. But Utah is a state where it is more known for that kind of kindly, courtly republicanism of Mitt Romney, of George W. Bush. But there has started to be a shift. A lot of women in that state, the state is predominantly Mormon, meaning of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. A lot of them did not like Trump's rhetoric around women. And so a lot of voters started moving to the left or not supporting him also, but there is also a break in that there are a lot of young voters, too, who went for the MAGA movement. So it is ruby red, but there are some shifts in the state politically.
And with the people who would have been at this rally yesterday, would they have been MAGA supporters or would they have been conservative Republican supporters?
That's a great question. This is a unique campus because, as I said, this is a heavily Mormon state. So there's BYU, which is the Mormon University.
Young,
yeah,
right?
we're going to have that kind of courtly republicanism. This campus is known for having more of an open place for debate. You've got a lot of liberal, maybe atheist-leaning or left-leaning, but definitely you're going to have that strong Republican influence and probably that MAGA influence there.
All right. Michelle Stockman, it's always good to have you in the studio. We appreciate your reporting. Thank you.
Good to be here.
I spoke with NBC journalist Jason Campodonia about the shooting and its political ramifications and began by asking about the search for the assailant.
So right now, there's a couple of videos circling around on social media of what looks like a person dressed in all dark clothing on a perch about 200 yards, 250 yards away from where Charlie Kirk was speaking. Whether or not it's actually a person or an air vent, we haven't been told anything. But there are videos of what looks to be like a human walking on this rooftop. And that's about all we know right now. We do know that the feds, the FBI brought in a person for questioning this afternoon, shortly after the event. We know that that person has since been released. And they haven't told us exactly why. Some of the law enforcement insiders that we've been able to speak to have told us that usually that means that somebody is turning or giving up information about a possible shooter. There's been speculation that this shooter had some training, had some serious training, because a shot at 200 yards or so away to hit somebody in the neck is quite a feat to be able to do that. So those types of people usually run in tight circles. So somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody is hopefully going to give some more information soon.
OK, we heard Trump blaming the radical left. Tell us about the Republican reaction to all of this.
So a lot of the lawmakers that have posted reaction are basically saying, look, it doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what your point of view is. We should never rise to this level of violence when somebody disagrees with us. And that's what Charlie Kirk was really bringing to the forefront. He brought a platform to college campuses that allowed people to speak, and he would challenge their beliefs, but he would also welcome them challenging his beliefs. And that's where a lot of lawmakers are going. Now, there have been some extremists that have come out of the woodwork, and you really kind of have to take that with a grain of salt, right? So Alex Jones, who runs InfoWars, which is a very right-wing, very conspiracy theorist type of website. I mean, Alex is the guy who says the, Sandy Hook school shooting where 20 some odd school children were shot and killed never happened. I can tell you that it did. I covered it extensively. And so you really kind of have to look at some of these guys and say, okay, let's not go down that road. But they are saying the war is here. It's on, and we're gonna, get armed to the teeth. And so there are those theories floating out there, but honestly, it's very, very extreme and it's very small.
Jason, we've seen a rise in the far right and the far left here in Europe. We've also seen a rise in political violence. Is it becoming a feature of life in the United States?
Unfortunately, it seems that way. Having covered politics in the United States for the past 2 decades, it really is unfortunate that it's risen to that level. But I mean, there's been several attempts on President Trump's life, and other presidents. One was shot. John F. Kennedy in recent political history. Ronald Reagan was shot. There's threats on these guys' lives all the time. Most of it is just some crackpot who calls the White House and says, the president must die or something to that effect. And we don't report on that because we don't want to inspire copycats. And unfortunately, it seems like there's a certain sector of the population that are just saying, you know what, I'm willing to die for this cause, and I think so-and-so should die as well. And that's really, really unfortunate.
It sure is. Jason Campidonia, NBC. Thanks for the analysis there.
Thank you.